another big howdy, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Lauren Musica Show, your favorite update in the battle for life, family, and freedom. So blessed, so excited to have you with me once again. I'm Lauren Musica, attorney and human rights advocate, and I serve as president and CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life, the nation's largest peaceful sidewalk outreach organization. Your image, especially in the pro-life, pro-family movement, is it really that important? I'm not even so much talking about you as a person as I am your storefront, your offering, your mission, your vision, your brand. Does it really matter? Earlier this season, I had a really interesting two-part discussion with Joe Evermore about dreaming and branding and the importance, too, of competing well with really billion-dollar Planned Parenthood, America's abortion empire. And the fact of the matter is, at every turn, whatever we're doing, you and I are selling a message, and it's an important one, arguably the most important one. It's, again, the message of life itself. So how do we share that message well and especially attract Gen Z and millennial women our way, especially away from the abortion industry? I've got a couple of incredible people to unpack this with today, and they're with a well-known, well-respected marketing firm, Cornerstone Marketing Strategies, that provides services to so many of us in the movement. So I want to go ahead and introduce our special guests. Morgan Loethen is the Chief Operating Officer, the COO at Cornerstone Marketing Strategies, where she plays a key role in advancing the pro-life movement. Raised in a small town with deep Catholic roots, she has always believed in the inherent value of every human life. As a mother, she knows firsthand the joy and purpose that children bring, and this fuels her passion for helping other moms embrace motherhood. Fueled by a strong commitment to community, communication, and collaboration, Morgan works alongside a dedicated team and partners with experts to provide life-saving services and challenge societal assumptions about life and family. Above all, she is committed to creating a culture where life is valued, cherished, and protected. And then Matt Meeks is the CEO of Cornerstone Marketing Strategies, driven by his deep-rooted belief in the sanctity of all human life and his love for his blended family of 7, including 3 adopted children as a stepfather. His journey began while working on pregnancy center website tasks where he saw God's plan unfold before his eyes. Through prayer and a leap of faith, he established Cornerstone Marketing Strategies, assembling a team of skilled professionals from the pregnancy center movement. Matt's commitment to his family and his values shape the foundation of his work, guiding him in making a meaningful impact by doing God's work every single day. Let's welcome to the program, Matt and Morgan. It's a party. Hey, Matt, how are you doing?
Hey, Lauren, doing great. Thanks for having us.
Glad to have you. And Morgan, how are you?
Good. Happy to be here. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay. We don't always get this. There's 3 of us. Yay. We're going to have a big fun party here talking about branding and image and all the things. Again, I am so passionate about this topic. We had a little bit of a discussion around some of this with Joe Evermore of Superhero Sidekick a little bit earlier in the season, but you guys are the people who are helping people walk this out, right? Like when the rubber meets the road, what is it actually looking like? You're putting colors and fonts and stuff on paper and then giving people a general strategy to get their message out. So I can't wait to unpack this more with you guys. Matt, let's go ahead and start with you. How did Cornerstone get its start, and how do you uniquely serve the cause of life and family with what you do?
Yeah, so we started Cornerstone back in 2018. Brandy Meeks, my wife, was actually working at the Vitae Foundation, and I was working at DHSS here at the state of Missouri. It kind of happened organically. God just kept putting it on my heart. We kept having conversations about, what was going on at Vitae, who Vitae was serving, pregnancy center movement as a whole, and kind of finding and seeing some gaps that were happening there. And honestly, God just kept telling me, Matt, you can do this, you can do this, you can do it better. Like, let's get together, like, build a team, start doing it. I was a computer programmer, like I said, Department of Health and Senior Services. And so we just kind of started talking about it. And the funny thing is, Brandy would always say, like, well, you pay our insurance for all 5 of our kids, so let's just keep praying about that, and then we'll keep going. And then kind of the conversation started to where she was like, if we're gonna do this, I don't want to do it without Morgan. Right, Morgan's always been there with us,
Yeah.
and it's been awesome. So the second part of your question, what do we do? How do we serve the culture of family and life? And so, our goal is to help pro-life organizations, large or small, with their marketing needs, really focusing on their mission and helping them achieve their goals, no matter how large or small this may be. And we just want you to feel like we are a part of your team. Cornerstone has grown from honestly being me, Brandy, and Morgan building donor websites for pregnancy centers to now we have a staff of over 15 full-time and
Wow.
contract employees. So we're excited
Yeah.
about the mission and love the opportunity that God has given us here.
That's so cool. Yeah, and I just love too how, I mean, sometimes we don't think about the fact that these very simple missions that God has given us, even in the for-profit space, it really is a service in service of the kingdom. It's so needed, getting our message out, how what we look and feel like in the marketplace, right? Especially when you've got multi-billion-dollar Planned Parenthood to compete with, we want our pregnancy centers at the forefront, and being supported in the best way possible to get that message out. Morgan, tell us how you came to work with Cornerstone, and then how do you see your unique role in the culture battle as well? How do you see yourself in service of life and family through what you do?
Sure. So I came to Cornerstone. Matt kind of teed up the conversation there. I actually feel like I'm a member of the Meeks family. So Brandy did
Mm,
work at Vitae, Matt's wife, Brandy. I think it was 7 years ago. I'd have to check some math, but I believe it was about 7 years ago. And ever since, she brought me in and we started navigating all of the things, the language. I was hooked, right? My heart had never been more on fire since that moment.
mm,
And from then, I feel like I've never looked back. So when I heard
yeah.
about what their family was doing, and the opportunity that I could have to play a role in that team, it was a very easy yes. And we haven't looked back since. So just been really, blessed to be along for the ride, and continue to be a part of Cornerstone. But
Yeah.
as far as sorry, Lauren.
Go ahead. Yeah. Keep going. Keep
I was,
going. Yeah.
I was gonna say, so as far as the unique role, I really see, Cornerstone specifically, we're just a bridge, right? We have the
Mm,
marketing, we have the education and the knowledge to be able to take these wonderful services that all of our centers have, all of these pro-life organizations have, and really just get those messages out there, right? Like we can't do our work without the experts on the other end. We can't advertise these pregnancy center services if they're not doing the back end work. And so just being able to communicate with them, right? Use the research that we have, use the knowledge that we have, and continue to tell their message really helps us bridge that gap in the movement.
yeah, absolutely. When people, Morgan, are trying to discern their brand, where do they even start? Like, where would you have them start as far as brainstorming goes? Like, somebody may be listening to this and they're like, "Hey, we're getting ready to launch a pregnancy center. We need to, put something pretty on the outside of our mobile unit." Like, where do people start?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it's actually funny you ask because we're actually working through that from the very beginning stages right now with the center. And so,
Mm,
number one, we just have to figure out what are your services, right? Because not every pregnancy center is going to offer the same services. Some are going to focus more on classes, some are going to do more medical services. And so, we just have to figure out what are your services first and foremost, and then figure out what's a name that we can choose, right? Name is number one. You can't have a brand without a name. And so picking a name that encompasses your services but doesn't stunt any growth. Taglines can be
mm,
added later. You can easily update other things, but picking a strong name is really important. And then brainstorming. So you have a name, right? But then where do you go next? What's your logo? What's your colors? A lot of times, what boards really find attractive or lean to isn't necessarily what the demographic of these pregnancy resource centers are. So, one
that's
of the things
important.
that we
Mm,
talk about internal quite a bit is, can you get some focus groups together? Do you have a local college? Are there, people the age of these women that you're trying to reach that you can get, round table conversation, even enticing them with a $10 coffee shop gift card, right? You can also support local by doing that. So really just figuring out what appeals to your demographic, is really going to help you with a strong name.
Yeah, yeah, so good. Matt, why spend money on this? Like just to kind of cut to the chase here. Like, why is marketing important? You hear sometimes people out in ministry say, "Oh, that's a waste of money. God is just going to get your message out," which we believe in, obviously, right? But why can't you just kick back? What would you want people to know about the importance of their role in this particular mission, so to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. So, investing in your marketing is all about getting your organization or brand in front of the right people who need your services.
Yeah.
Lauren and I were actually at the Pro Life Women's Conference a few years ago, which has now grown into the Celebrate Life conference that's held in DC. And at that conference, Support After Abortion was speaking about how they done a survey of 1,000 women that they have helped that had had an abortion, and 46% of those women didn't know that there was a pregnancy resource center in their area. So
Wow.
almost half of the women that the pregnancy centers are wanting to serve in their communities didn't know that they were even there. Some of these
Yeah.
pregnancy centers have been around for 40 years, right? But today's
Wow.
youth, they don't know who you are, right?
Yeah.
Maybe their family dynamic has changed. It's put them in a harder situation than maybe what their mom or their grandma had experienced when they had kids,
Yeah.
right? You know,
Yeah.
um, yes, and God will provide for you. I believe that 100%. And my wife speaks about that all the time. And to quote her, she says often that we know that organizations' resources are limited, right? We know that our
Mm.
pregnancy centers' resources are limited, or our pro-life organizations' resources are limited. We don't have Nike and Reebok money, right? But we know God's resources are infinite. And I truly believe
Mm.
if you rely on God to provide your needs and your mission is aligning with His will, then your efforts will not go unnoticed and He'll provide for you. He might
Mhm.
not provide an unlimited budget, but He will provide what you need at the time.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I there's a beautiful concept in one of my favorite books, the book on boundaries by Doctors Cloud and Townsend, and they talk about the law of activity. That God does expect us to get moving and play a role, and He invites us into that creative process with Him. He's the creator, right? And He allows us to be a part of what He is doing to spread the word, to build something. And it first starts in His heart and moves to yours at some point, right? And I often think about how important it is that we continue to give our God, our great God, our yes, not just in our ministry, but also in these little things too, right? Being involved in what He's doing in order to get this message out, to express this brand, to bring people into your fold. It's so important. Morgan, talk to us a little bit about the importance of being modern in our approach, right? I know sometimes I've seen a little bit of a crisis of being modern, so to speak, in
Yeah.
sidewalk outreach. That there were times when I started my sidewalk ministry and I was handed literature that seemed to be stuck back in the 80s still, right?
Yeah.
And I had the thought, oh man, Planned Parenthood's materials are so much better than this, right? And
Yeah.
some of us had to take the journey in designing our own literature, right? Our own signage, and really just thinking about who our audience is. Why do we need to think about this? Why do the 80s and 90s designs need to go away?
Yeah. Well, the first thing that we really, do in our marketing, and we encourage all pro-life organizations to do, is just start with the truth, right? The people that we're
Mm,
dealing with want the truth, whatever it is. They want the
yeah,
truth, and these specific genders, millennials, Gen Z, they want to know what's going to go on, right? And knowledge is
yeah.
power for them. So no
Mm,
swayed narratives, no graphic imagery, just the truth. And so with that, we're able to follow up and say, free and confidential. You have questions about what might happen, we're here for you. We have options counseling, we have medical services, and really just getting in front of them with ways that these centers can help them find the truth about their pregnancy, about what they're looking for. Really is able to help push them in the right direction, right? They have questions and they want answers. And so sharing the truth allows them. Secondly, with being modern, the actual method, right, of what we're using for this marketing comes to mind. And so in the past, Lauren, I know you're familiar, a lot of these pregnancy centers wanted to do billboards, and that seems like something that a lot of donors want to get behind. But that's kind of outdated, right? Women,
Mm.
kids driving down the road, they're looking at their phones. They're not looking out the window, riding or driving anymore. It seems like they're distracted. And so we've found
Good point.
the best way to be modern, to get in front of them, is to put these billboards on the devices they're on, right? So whether it's social media ads, they're scrolling, pop up right there. You can specifically target these ads by gender, by age, and even like a geographic radius. And so really just getting modern in your approach can really help, because billboards can also be expensive. And so digital advertising also gives donors and board members what they're looking for, right? They like to hear, how many people did we see? Was it effective? What's the ROI? And so being able to modernize how we share that information and how we approach, advertising is also just as important in what we're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So good. I'm going to change up the last question here, Matt. I'm definitely going to have you let people know how they can get in touch with Cornerstone to avail themselves of y'all's services. But I would love for both of you to come up with maybe like a 1-minute story on how you saw a ministry, a pregnancy center related, come to the table and say, hey, here's where we're sitting. This is where we need to go. And it making like a profound difference in their traffic, in their ministry, in their outreach. Matt, can we start with you? Go to Morgan. And then Matt, I'd love for you to end with how people can get in touch with you. So what would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. So, um, I'll leave their names out of it, but let's just, they're the Pregnancy Resource Center in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. They weren't really doing any marketing. They came to us. They started doing SEO services and Google Ads campaigns. And one of the things to know is, like, yes, there's other search engines out there in the world, but Google owns 96% of all of that search volume.
Wow.
So if you're looking at like prioritizing things, that's where we kind of come into play. It's like, what's the best plan, right? We know we have a limited budget. Okay, well, let's advertise on the main game players here, right? So let's advertise on Google, and let's get showing up in those Google ad results. So the focus for the Google ad campaigns was to reach abortion-minded women. Year or after the first year that they worked with us, they kind of sent us an email and shot us some numbers, and honestly, kind of blown away. They saw an increase of 495% more abortion-minded women that they had served after the first year of working with us. And we have numerous stories over and over where more centers every year continue to see increases in abortion-minded women that they're helping based off the ad campaigns that we're running.
Wow. 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 Amazing. Morgan, what about you?
Yeah. So similar story. I actually was wondering if Matt and I were pulling from the same information. Different story, but very similar. So we had a center specifically come to us, start doing SEO services, search engine optimization, and then also the paid Google ads, along with a website. And they were able to tell us that since starting working with us in June of 2023, they saw a 200% increase in abortion vulnerable and abortion minded clients, specifically 50% for just abortion minded. They saw a 40% increase in pregnancy tests and 44% increase in ultrasound. So we love getting these benefits from these centers. We work really hard on the back end, and it's so fruitful to be able to hear these wonderful stories and hear about all these lives that we are helping save with these centers.
Yeah. It so makes a difference. The body of Christ, right? Like, you guys have a really unique place in the greatest human rights movement on earth. So thankful for you guys and everything that you're doing. Matt, how can people get in touch with Cornerstone if they need your services?
Yeah, you can easily just go to our website. My phone number is right on there. You can call me, shoot me a text. There's a contact form on there. It's cornerstonemarketingstrategies.com. I know that that's a mouthful, but I should be able to pull it up even if you search for like pro-life marketing company, it would pop up there as well. So we'll
Awesome.
definitely help whoever needs it.
Great. Well, thank you both so much for everything that you're doing to support so many of us in the movement. We use you guys for a lot of things during the year, and we never cease to be amazed with what you come out with. So, again, thank you for what you're doing to save lives and to gradually end abortion. Appreciate y'all. Thanks again for being with us. So good. Thank you, Matt and Morgan. So good. All right. So, again, your brand, why spend time on this, right? Hopefully, I've convinced you of that, why it's important. But again, as we've laid out in different ways, branding allows a company to create a unique identity, differentiate itself from competitors, build customer trust and loyalty, and increase recognition and value through consistent messaging and imagery. Essentially, it helps customers know what to expect from you and why they should choose you, maybe as opposed to Planned Parenthood, choose you over a so-called competitor. Again, this is why so many women are still going to Planned Parenthood. It's almost as recognizable as McDonald's. Women often don't know any better because Planned Parenthood has sold them a particular image. So again, for example, if you are a pregnancy center and you're going to compete well in your local community, and that's really what it is an element of competition, right? Because you're trying to get them to walk through your doors as opposed to someone else's. Again, this is about winning lives, winning souls. You want them to walk through your front door. You need to be sure, we need to be sure that we look modern and attractive. We're approachable, right, to the modern everyday woman, that we are able to spread our brand throughout our community because that forms relationships. And slowly, a little bit by a little bit, you become a force to be reckoned with. At the very least, if you don't have a whole lot of money to pour into this, maybe at the get-go, try to aim to be someone who is approachable, friendly, and professional. I have noticed that even sidewalk counselors, sidewalk advocates who just aim to be those three things in front of an abortion facility, even if they're not joined to a big national brand like Sidewalk Advocates for Life or 40 Days for Life, I mean, you have come a long way in winning her over. Those are the things that she needs to immediately get a good impression and to build trust. So again, important things to think about. And I hope you'll spend some time on it because what you have to offer to the world is far too important to not put some thought into this. All right. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Lauren Musica Show. We'll be back here next Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central on the Sidewalk Advocates for Life Facebook page, YouTube channel, as well as wherever you get podcasts. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great week.